Welcome to another podcast on Rajesh Shazif Khan Official with me, Rajesh Shazif Khan, and Mrs. Zinia Sati. So, Zinia, I believe you have a message for the international community.
Yes, and it's a very important message. It deals with a matter that is of vital importance in collective security regime. And I'm talking about the connection that exists between President Joe Biden's declining cognitive abilities, as we find out recently after the debate on 27th October. More and more is coming out about it, including the fact that President Biden is being treated by a doctor who treats patients with Alzheimer's, and the veto that was wielded by United States of America at the UNSC of the resolution that asked for ceasefire in Gaza months ago. And that led to a catastrophe of horrific proportions in Gaza, which is unfolding now.
And you are here to tell the world that this provides an avenue for the international community to overcome the stumbling block that America's veto power provides in the way of taking effective action against Israel's conduct in Gaza, right?
Yes, because the UNSC grants veto wielding powers, the five permanent members of the United Nations Security Council. It gives them the power to veto a resolution under the assumption that the political entity exercising the veto is a rational political entity. It is in possession of the optimal cognitive ability to fathom an issue and all its implications and all its ramifications. In United States of America, we have a presidential system of government that
They have a
gives
president.
they have a presidential system of government that gives enormous power to one individual. And the decision to veto the resolution asking for ceasefire in Gaza was made by Joe Biden in the face of tremendous domestic opposition even within the executive, within the Oval Office, within the Democratic Party, and of course on the streets of United States of America. Even in Israel, it is an unpopular war. People want an end to this war and the return of their loved ones. And now they're out on the streets in very large numbers. So, if the veto was exercised by a political entity whose cognitive abilities are not functioning at the optimal level, then the veto should not have been accepted. But at the time, the UNSC did not know, it was not aware of the fact that President Joe Biden is not possessed of cognitive abilities that are required to lead a nation, that they are not functioning at their optimal level. But now that it knows it, as the discoveries, the disclosures being made by the media, and now that there are calls within the United States of America to conduct forensic testing of President Joe Biden's cognitive abilities, then it is absolutely obligatory for the UNSC to revisit that veto and revisit the resolutions that were so vetoed by the US. And in the face of the new disclosures regarding President Joe Biden's mental health, cancel those vetoes. And if those vetoes are cancelled, then the resolutions are carried retroactively. And that can then lead to the UN calling for immediate end to this war and this genocide. The UN can direct Israel to immediately cease fire, and the humanitarian catastrophe can then be redirected towards rehabilitation.
Do they need an official public diagnosis of Joe Biden's mental decline in order to do this?
Well, the UN can put together an international team of doctors to conduct the forensic testing of President Biden's cognitive abilities. They don't have to leave this matter to a US doctor only, because this relates to a very significant international issue, an issue of genocide, and the ability within the collective security regime to stop the genocide in a timely manner. So they can call for such forensic testing, and after the result comes in, they can revisit the vetoes.
It is a plausible idea. Throughout history, kings have been removed from office with their power put on hold if they've been found to be mentally ill or going mad. So, today's world where the international community is supposed to abide by rules, if it turns out that the leader of an important country who is holding veto power, if he's in cognitive decline, cannot physically fulfill his responsibilities, then the UN should do something about it, and perhaps it can provide them a way to override that veto power, to override the power that they've granted this leader of this country that's a permanent member of the Security Council.
Yeah, they can definitely also ask for United States of America to abstain from participating or voting on all further resolutions till such time as change of guard in the US has taken place. It can be in the form of the vice president stepping into carry out the constitutional responsibility, or in the form of the result of the election. But whatever be the case, the matter of genocide is far, far too important. And if the one veto only United States veto actually allowed this genocide to proceed, and now it has become a catastrophe of horrific proportions. There are epidemics also that are coming out of it,
And not to mention the threat of expansion, right?
and the threat of expansion of this war. I mean, that too is a very dangerous phenomena.
Yeah, it's a monumental humanitarian catastrophe and security crisis that's taking place in Gaza. And to have, so if it turns out that one of the powerful people who was able to have a say in what goes on with this crisis, wields enormous power over how the world deals with the crisis. If it turns out he's not mentally fit for the job, then I think something must be done.
Yes, of course, if the collective security regime is to withstand the test of time, and only those institutions survive which can evolve and cater to the new demands successfully, meet the challenge successfully, then the UNSC has to revisit this matter.
Yeah, if there's now is a better time than any for the international security regime to reform itself. And of course, the world must do everything that it can to stop the brutal, horrific carnage that's taking place in Gaza, whatever it takes.
Yes, you can say that the United States of America has always supported Israel. And so Joe Biden was just doing what is their policy. But Israel has never committed genocide of this proportion on Palestinian territories. This was an unprecedented situation calling for an unprecedented response, but President Joe Biden responded as though it was business as usual. And that's where there is alarm bells now ringing.
So for this foreign policy crisis, America is being led by a man who is least fit for dealing with it. And if America won't do anything about it, then at least the
International community should, the collective security regime should step in to address this matter.
So, this has been a particularly insightful podcast with Zenia Sati. Please like and share this video and subscribe for more content like this. And thank you so much for watching.